Hey everyone, and welcome to PCCS's emPower Hour. My name is Alyssa DeGusto.
My name is Kevin Roman.
And we're here today for our next episode of Season 2, where we have a great guest with us today. Her name is Eleni Vasilakos, and she is the Community Ambassador at CHASI. So, welcome, Eleni. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about what CHASI has been doing during the pandemic to make sure people are, safe and connected.
Yes.
And we're happy to have you for sure. I feel like there's going to be a lot of questions coming in from our viewers, and we're really excited to have you be able to answer some of those, heavy questions that are circulating at this point in time. So, Eleni, can you tell us a little bit about you, what you do at your organization, what CHASI does?
Yep. So I haven't been with CHASI for a very long time. I joined them about the same time as when the pandemic started. That summer, they launched a COVID initiative where we go out into communities, make sure that they have PPE. We often have tabling events where we give people testing information, free masks. We support the city's pop-up testing efforts by, showing up in them masks. Around the holidays when, city MDs were completely overwhelmed with testing, they were turning people away. There were lines around the blocks. I sit on one. We were letting people know about the other outlets that the city had set up to alleviate that strain on testing. Now it's, easy for anybody to get a test. It wasn't always like that. And hopefully we're able to support the city and their vaccination efforts moving forward.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of the pandemic when it was almost like you had to be a VIP to get tested. So like you had symptoms, but you got to wait until you become eligible. So it's great that now these initiatives are taking off and, we're able to get everyone tested in an easy enough way. So Eleni, I know you had a couple of slides prepared for us to kind of share what you got going on. So we're going to share those now so we can kind of get through that.
Awesome. So we're Community Health Action of Staten Island. We respond to crises on Staten Island. People think that this crisis is over. It is not yet. The numbers are still not that great. Want to give me some bullets? On Staten Island, 5 zip codes have an over 10% positivity rate. So you might remember 4% was the original rate that was supposed to trigger mass lockdowns. Schools were going to shut down, all of this stuff. Now we're over 10%. So this means that 10% of tests that are coming in come back positive. That means that so many more are going undetected. These zip codes, and don't panic if you live in these zip codes. It's a problem across the island, but it's 10302, 05, 10306, 10307, and 103112. Staten Island remains the borough with the highest positivity rate, with 8,533 residents testing positive out of every 100,000 residents. So this is higher than Manhattan. And that might be because more people are getting tested in Staten Island, which is great, but it means that COVID is definitely, just assume that it's everywhere. The number of deaths continues to rise, and the number of cases right now, it's higher than it was back in March. So the vaccine is out there. It's not out there for everyone yet. So until it is, we have to keep up the core 4, just wash your hands, keep social distance, wear a mask, and stay home, especially if you're not feeling well. Things we should have all been doing before. We're sick of hearing this stuff, but get tested regularly, especially if you're in one of those zip codes. Maybe consider every 2 weeks, every month, and as soon as it's available to you, get the vaccine. Here is how you can find out if it's available to you. To check if you're eligible, that third bullet, am I eligible.covid19vaccine.health.ny.gov. It's a mouthful, but it's a really helpful dashboard. You can look at a glance and see which state supplied facilities currently have the vaccine. In New York, that's the Javits Center, which is open, it's running 24/7, vaccinating people. The vaccinefinder.nyc.gov, that's a compiled list of all of the private providers and all of the New York State vaccine hubs. Each of these sites has a separate sign-up process, so you will have to, kind of submit a couple of forms before finding out if you are eligible, and then finding out if you can get an appointment at one of those providers. But it's worth it. Vaccine is really important to get if you're eligible. And if you don't have an email or if you don't have a computer available, you can also call that number, 877-BACS for NYC. And this is what we've been up to since the summer. This is our community ambassador, Sebastian, in front of La Colmena, helping people with masks and information, some hand sanitizer. In the 6-month period since this initiative began, we've distributed 250,000 masks to Staten Islanders, so we're pretty proud of that. We have 4 teams that work 7 days a week, hosting these tabling events with businesses and organizations that invite us. If you need free PPE for yourself or a client, or if your organization wants to host us for a tabling event, you can reach us all at 718-808-1431. We're also able to answer any specific questions, like where your nearest testing site is, whether or not it's accessible, how to schedule your vaccine appointment, or help navigating that platform. We'll soon also be offering testing for people on site at our food pantry at 2134 Richmond Terrace. So look out for that. Once again, this is our helpline. You can call us anytime. If anyone's listening and you'd like for us to reach out to you, you can drop your email. We have a newsletter and a phone number. We often do wellness checks from the people that sign up to receive them in the field. If you prefer email, you can also email us at t2department at CHASI.org. I'll put that. I can put that in the chat, I think. Here. So the pandemic has really just, exacerbated a lot of pre-existing issues that people have been having. Lots of people are out of work right now. Here are some resources if anyone needs them to, help tide yourself over. Some emergency food delivery. If you're unable to leave your house to get food, you can't afford delivery, anyone could sign up for this. It's 2 weeks of free food to your door. nyc.gov/getfood. I've enrolled people in it. It's super easy. I've heard the food is pretty high quality. To find your nearest testing site, you could text COVID test to 85548. That's in addition to just giving us a call. Again, if you want any of these resources, you can shoot us an email. We're happy to provide you with them. Domestic violence and substance use has been through the roof because people are isolated. There are resources available for you. You don't have to suffer alone. A lot of people are going through the same thing. It's definitely hard. You could check testing wait times at testandtrace.nyc. And just hang in there because it looks like the end is finally near. Vaccine out for most people. Community Health Action of Staten Island, we also provide a lot of resources to the community, like we have for many, many years. For linkage to any of these services, you can call the general line at 718-808-1450. Yep. Once again, the service is just really great. It's amazingly easy to sign up for, and you don't have to leave your house to get groceries, especially if you have an older family member at home, or anyone who's just immunocompromised and shouldn't be going out exposing themselves to COVID. You could enroll at nyc.gov/getfood. You could also call 311, or you can call us. We're happy to help people get set up in this service. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eleni. That seems to be that we have a lot of great resources and a lot. You guys are doing a lot. Ultimately,
I didn't realize how much you guys really encompassed in your programs. Wow.
Yeah, our COVID initiative is just one of many roles that CHASI, is able to help the community through.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really, really fantastic. So I know in the beginning of your presentation, you were talking about tabling events that you guys are kind of like, and at any given moment, if someone needs wants a tabling event, needs a tabling event, to reach out to you. Can you tell us a little bit about what those tabling events have been like?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success when we work with other organizations. Around Christmas, we were partnering with the K Woods Foundation during their toy drive. Just, showed up, people got their toys, they got a mask. We've partnered with Center for Family Life, with UAME Baptist Church, with La Colmena, with Ocean Breeze Pharmacy, with New York Foundling, and with St. George Pharmacy, like among a couple of others. What we do is we show up, we bring, our table and a couple of our outreach workers whose job it is to stay updated on the most recent COVID information. And we provide masks, we provide information about where you can get tested, where you can find this info on the New York City websites. Now some info on when the vaccine will be available for most people. There's a lot of frustration, especially because when you call that 877 number, most likely get a dial tone because they're so overwhelmed with people calling. So this was a way for, us to connect a little bit more closely with people trying to navigate those, city resources that are just so big, and often, they don't really have a personal connection with the community.
I think that's incredible that you guys are kind of in a space where we've become so virtual, and just like one big piece of technology, you guys are kind of humanizing the reality of what the world is right now. I think that's really awesome to hear that. And it's great that you have these resources at your fingertips. That way the community can come to you and you lean on you when they need you the most. That's awesome. So I know prior you and I were speaking and we were talking about a right to support persons. I know there was a resource that we had available. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So at the beginning, things were kind of crazy in hospitals. In some states, they still are. So I just wanted to really broadcast that, if you have, if you have an intellectual disability, a developmental disability, cognitive impairment such as dementia, if you're a child, if you're having a baby, if you're, close to dying, you have a right to have someone there with you, even during COVID. It's your legal right. Many people, especially those caring for dementia patients, complained about the isolation, and it's really terrible because the change in environment is the worst thing for a dementia patient. Those people don't have to be alone when they're in the hospital. So we're here to advocate for you. This information is available on disabilityrightsny.org. And for not everyone is able to leave their house to get a test. In this vein, if you have certain conditions, you're able to get a test at home. Maybe I could share this with you. So at-home test kits are also available through Pixel LabCorp. Maybe we could share this, I'm not sure. So how they work is they, through this link, you can order an at-home test kit. They deliver it to your door. You take your own sample and you ship it back to them via FedEx. So for some people, they don't, they can't afford to risk COVID exposure by leaving their homes to get a COVID test. This is one option for them. There's no upfront cost to you. It's either through your insurance, or if you don't have insurance, it's covered by federal funding. Another option for people that maybe don't feel comfortable leaving their homes due to a pre-existing condition, there's drive-through COVID testing that's available at 777 Seaview Ave, I believe, at the South Beach Hospital. That address is 777 Seaview Ave. So that's just drive-through testing. You don't even have to get out of your car. Yeah.
Right? No excuse at this point, honestly.
Unfortunately, that's also the location of an emergency COVID ward. So, they've responded really well to the crisis over there at that facility.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, the resources, and I think the educational piece of this entire conversation that we're having is what's so important, because even as you're saying these things now, Kevin and I speak to people all the time from all different walks of life, and there's just so much out there that I can't imagine people who are not connecting with the outside world at this point know that these things are readily available and these resources are here. And, there are real people out there that are really trying to just help at the end of the day in a global pandemic. So I really think you guys did such an amazing job. And, we're so grateful that we were able to connect with you on this level so that way we can share what you guys are doing. So Eleni, can you tell us if there's a general way of contacting you or your organization, just so that way people can readily accept some of these resources and be able to have some easy access to it?
Yep. So for COVID related information, you can always call our COVID helpline. It's 718-808-1431. Drop it in the chat. 808-1431. If you're more email oriented, you can also email our department. And this also applies to any organizations that might want to partner with us for a tabling event. If you want us to come and give resources to you, your community, your clients, we're happy to do that as well. For general CHASI resources, if you want linkage to things like benefit enrollment, help with that, the number would be the 808-1450. 808-1450. And it's hard when people aren't able to come in through the doors of your organization anymore. You lose a lot of new clients that way. So we're just trying to get this information out and bring in as many people as we can that we have lost during the pandemic, which is a real shame because there are some services now that people need more than ever. For example, it's the opioid epidemic, especially here on Staten Island. It never went away. The isolation has made it worse. But the isolation has also prevented people from, getting into treatment, things like that. So that's something that, CHASI is definitely seeking to help people with. We have recovery support resources. We can get people referrals for intake, stuff like that. Connect you to behavioral health services. We're in a pandemic on a pandemic. We're here for you in as many ways as we can be.
I love that it sounds like it's almost like I can call and I almost don't even know what I need really. I think a lot of times people, you have people who need like specific things. Like I need to know where I can get my next testing site or where can I get vaccinated? Do I qualify XYZ? But I also like the idea that I can kind of call and maybe I'm not exactly sure. I'm like, maybe I just haven't, where would I go to get emergency food? Do you guys, having somewhere where you can ask these questions and have those resources available, I think is really important. People don't know what they don't know. And people suffer through that, not realizing that even though there's a pandemic, there's a domestic abuse hotline and it's more relevant now than ever, and just having the access to those resources in like a hub where you could just, I need help, where do I go? I really, really think that's really important.
Yeah, even now during the pandemic, our Next Step 24/7 Resource and Recovery Center is doing a lot of heavy lifting, but before the pandemic, it was crazy. There were always people in there, receiving help. Even if you don't need help, there's someone on the other line that can talk to you, or we have, peer counselors there to just, help you figure out what it is that you need and what there is that's available to you.
Yeah, definitely. Love that.
Well, with that said, I want to thank you, Eleni, so much for coming and talking with us and sharing your resources and your experiences and the fact that you guys are here for us and everyone. So thank you so much for coming. And for those who are watching, if you guys have any questions at all, or really just don't even know that you have questions.
It sounds like really you have almost any question really.
About anything.
Call CHASI, they'll figure it out.
All of the contact information is in the comment section, so please take a moment, read through them, really take notes because there's just so much out there that they're able to help. And with that said, I want to thank you again. And for those of you who are watching, please stay tuned for our upcoming shows. We have a lot of great guests coming up. And for those of you who are tuning into next week's talent spotlight, we are still looking for local talent. So if you are interested in being a part of our show, call or email us and we will get in touch with you. So thank you again. Kevin's really distracting me with this motion.
I'm trying to be helpful. It's not.
So I want to thank you again. Thank you everyone for tuning in and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.